it's Odyssey fever out there. Of course, I'm not immune. I have been looking forward to this for months. Got my 70 millimeter ticket way early. Stocked up on snacks. Got to the theater way early, way too early. You know, commercial after commercial after commercial, and that brain drilling trailer for that weird purge sex movie. Um, at a certain point, I was just ready to settle in and be taken to a place far, far, far away from here. Before the film could start, there was a man who walked in. Towards the end of the trailers, he was a man about my age, seemed fully able-bodied in all sorts of ways, did not seem like a blind man at all. In fact, I watched him walk into the theater, go through the other aisles, ascend the stairs, pass through every other seat besides mine, completely fine. But of course, when he got in front of mine, need I reiterate, it is the trailers, so the lights are still pretty relatively on. Once he got straight in front of my seat, of course, he becomes blind man. Feeling around like he can't see anything. And very theatrically, very dramatically, falls on me and grabs my bare thighs because I'm wearing shorts on this particularly hot day and grabs my thighs and runs his hands up my bare legs. So I push him off, and it's like, the hell, dude. He apologized. It seemed like, we were both sufficiently pretty embarrassed about what had happened. I was willing to be like, all right, I'm gonna let it go. Bygones be bygones, and power through. But then he proceeds to this time it is, falls in a very Billy Madison-like way. Not believable in the slightest, and lands on my chest and feels me up. So at this point, I'm like, what the hell, dude? There is no reason for something like this, okay? We're not an IMAX theater, by the way, just 70 millimeters, so there's plenty of leg room. And I don't know what the fuck his problem is. And of course, the only seat available is the one right next to me. So at this point, it's pretty embarrassing. And there's just no need for it. This is a house of cinema. I mean, you should show some fucking respect. But of course, he is a mere heathen, a mere common man. I don't know what his deal was. But I gathered my things to leave. 'Cause I was just like, I'm so embarrassed right now. And then I thought you would know. I'm not gonna do it because every other 70 millimeter screening in the entire Los Angeles area is completely sold out. And if I leave right now, I'm going to miss out on this film that I've been looking forward to for such a long time. And I was so excited. The film's about to start. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to stay, grit my teeth, shake it off. But it did take me kind of a second to get into the film. I will say it took me until really like Cersei and Troy to kind of really lock in. But oh boy, was I glad? Was I glad I stayed though? For that. Um, Agamemnon. Oh, he's sick as fuck, dude. Oh, he's so cool. The Army of the Dead. Oh, cool as hell. Using Agamemnon with deliberate scarcity was very inspired. He's really allowed to haunt Nolan's version with the perfect amount of doom and destruction. His only lines from Hades was an expert decision because in Homer's version, like he talks so much shit, he comes across as like a little bit of a bitch. So I appreciated his presence much more in this one. Because man, when those gates of Troy open and he's just standing there glowing, like a black flame. Oh, shit, dude. The full dread of the awaiting annihilation. It just, oh, it grips. And then you see his soldiers appear from darkness, charging from his flanks. Ah, the work of true craftsmanship, folks. I mean, we are in the hands of Christopher Nolan after all. I mean, what did you expect? But the performances in this are just so exceptional that I feel like poor Tom Holland is being singled out. And I thought his performance was fine. I think he was, once again, this is a deliberate choice. He was chosen because it does not fully realized and unconfident abilities. You have to remember in the context of the film, he's living in the shadow of Odysseus. He's too insecure to assume the throne and unable to assert himself with his mother or her suitors while, they treat his kingdom like a goddamn high school lunchroom. I think his casting and his performance really feed into this. And, he's placed in scenes with much more veteran actors. So I think it keeps the whole thing on track. It didn't really pull me out of the film at all whatsoever. And I don't really know why I feel the need to defend him. I just think he's a sweet kid. He seems like a sweet kid. And, he grew up in the Marvel machine. And I don't feel like he really got the opportunity to develop his own distinction yet. But I feel like, he spends some time with more artful filmmakers, he could really blossom. I really see this piece as not a hopeful film. And I don't see it as shallowly as anything like, a Trump or J6 allegory. I really see this as an addendum to The Dark Knight. Odysseus makes considerably darker choices, and he's directly contributed to making the immediate future a much bleaker place. But at the end of the day, it's not really his destiny to control. He's weathered the storms, he continues on, and he releases that control. Maybe the world needs to burn, and it isn't one man's burden to extinguish the flames. What people will do, they'll do. What you will do will be what you need to do. His actions, Agamemnon and his army's ambitions, his wife's suitors, prove the flaw in Zeus's law. And it illustrates the absolute absurdity in believing that a god is benevolent. And I feel like the gods here are really a stand-in for the powers that be in our world right now. At best, these gods are indifferent, if not completely fickle with their affections. At their worst, I mean, why would Apollo curse those starving for eating from his very plentiful flock? They're vengeful, they're wrathful, for things that are barely a mild inconvenience for them. They created humans for their own vanity. We exist because with great power comes great boredom and brittle egos. Worthiness comes from man's ability to reject worship and the pious overgeneralizations it sells us. Treat each person with how they've proven themselves they should be treated. There's no true righteousness in any realm, and heroism should never be conflated with purity. This is pure fantasy, and we would do right to remember that. But until we do, time remains cyclical. I do want to add a postscript to this, and I do feel like in this day and age, we must change the negative representation of pigs. Odysseus's men being turned into pigs to represent violence, cruelty, and gluttony is sick. Pigs are intelligent, loving, and gentle creatures. So they love eating copious amounts of food and indulge in a life of luxuries and comforts. I mean, this is not a crime. They're just trying to enjoy themselves. And I get so hurt seeing these insidious lies in our media. I think now is the time we must end denigrating pig propaganda once and for all. And shame on you, Christopher Nolan. Shame on you for giving this a voice. Okay? You must think about the pigs. I think about the pigs every day. But otherwise, it was a very enjoyable film. I did cry for that old dog, though. Oh, he was just the sweetest soul. I just loved him so much, and I loved my fair share of old dogs in my life, and my heart goes out to everyone with senior pets, and every pet will become senior when we really think about it, and it just warms my heart, the love of our pets, and that friendship that we build with them. So, all my love to all the old dogs and the dogs that will one day be old too. Anyway, catch this one in theaters if you can. um, and be careful of people trying to fill you up.